let's start here. And I got some personal news that we'll start the show with. And today, Dave, a couple years ago, I started a website, MLBbro.com, where we cover black and brown players. So black players or players mixed with black, right? Aaron Judge or anybody of that. So we've been doing it for 2 years. I have a staff. We've been covering games, doing all this stuff. And today, Major League Baseball announced a partnership with MLBbro.com. So our stuff, some of our stuff, our stories, our videos, and the stuff that we do will now appear on their platforms as well. So you might see an MLB Bro video on MLB Network or a story that we've written on MLB.com, MLB Network Radio. So this is a groundbreaking collab. I mean, Dave, you know this. This just doesn't happen that often for baseball to embrace the black community in this way and push the narrative and our storytelling forward. So I've done a lot of things. You know this. I've been doing this in this business for 37 years. And I'm telling you, Dave, today's the happiest day of my professional career. Because it's not just about me. It's about this idea and concept. And I told you earlier, I have about 58 young people on staff, guys and girls, who love baseball, want to tell that baseball story, want to cover these black players, let them know who they are. And that website is about them. As time goes on, of course, we're going to, cover the black players in the league, but also develop the next generation of black writers and black and brown writers and broadcasters.
Well, first of all, congratulations, brother. I know you've been working, and I know it wasn't easy. And congratulations to you and your staff. Baseball's big on history. And so telling the story of the African-American player is very important, not only for the history of the game, but for the history, for the young players that are coming up that want to play this great game, because it is a great game. And I will say the same thing about the Asian players that are coming through. I would say the same thing about the Latin American players. Baseball is a game that's very far-reaching. We know this. They're playing it all over the world. So this is great, Rob. It's really great. And I know I guarantee you there'll be a young player out here playing Little League or playing travel ball that will come to know about what's going on, and it'll make a difference. He'll see some history of those that look like him. And I think that it's just going to be great for the game totally.
Yeah, I'm really like baseball. They monitored our site for the last 2 years, Dave. They like what we were doing, and they know me.
You've been in the game a long time.
I've been in the game a long time, and that's part of it. Is when you do something and you try to collab, you want to know who this person is. This guy, who is this guy? I covered my first World Series in 1986.
Yeah,
my whole career, and as a former player, there weren't that many brothers covering baseball when that it was a handful you could count.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to change that. And I want to be able to make a difference. And this is the kind of thing that can make a difference. And, Dave, I don't know, baseball probably what's happened with and it's making a comeback. I think 3 of the top 5 players who were drafted this past year are black players. Never happened before in Major League Baseball. Even Kyler Murray, he didn't pick baseball, but, Dave, he was the first player ever drafted in the first round in the NFL and the first round of Major League Baseball. Never happened. Didn't happen 100 years ago. These are players currently playing now. What else needs to be done to get the black kids more into baseball, or just to recognize that this is our game too? You know what I mean? Like, because that's where we are.
The first thing is the NBA and the NFL need to do something to make their game seem less sexy and more fun.
Well, if
we can get them to do that, because I say this all the time.
NBA's doing it a little bit with the way they play the game. It's all dunks or threes, but maybe that's fun, right?
Rob, I say this all the time. You want to go to a nice football game, catch one of these cities on Friday night lights. These high school games are packed, sold out. You go to an NBA game or you go to a high school basketball game. The playoffs are about to start here in California for the high school. It's going to be packed. But if you go to a high school baseball team, it might be 15 people there.
And all parents.
14
Right.
parents
Right.
and one girlfriend.
Right.
So I think that they have to find a way to make the game sexier, more fun, more exciting. See, when I was coming up, Rob, everyone played baseball in Cincinnati, all of us. We played football, we played basketball, we played all three sports.
But everybody played
But
baseball, am I
everybody
right?
played baseball. And see, I grew up in Cincinnati, in the shadow of the Big Red Machine.
Right. And in Cincinnati, people should know that's a baseball town. It is for people who don't know, the first professional team in the history of this country, the Cincinnati Redlegs.
Baseball town.
Right.
When I was in school, Catholic school at St. Clement's, 5th grade, 6th grade, opening day, Rob, they would bring the TV into the classroom to make sure we were up on opening day for the Cincinnati
You
Reds.
watched it. Everybody in Cincinnati.
Everybody. You grew up in Cincinnati Reds are your team. So I grew up, and baseball was a big deal, but we all played. But then, Rob, we all played for our neighborhood team, see.
So that's what we used to do in New York. We
it
had a
was
neighborhood.
when-
Right.
It was when travel ball came into existence. And they started creating, travel ball is expensive. Baseball, I got to have a bat, I got to have a glove, got to have some spikes, right? Uniform. There's all these extra costs. Football, I just need a football.
Basketball all you
just
need
give
is
me
basketball.
just give me
There's a hoop
basketball.
everywhere, right?
And if I don't have a basketball, just give me that soccer ball sitting over there. We'll play with soccer ball today.
Right. Whatever we got to do.
We shooting something, right? Baseball, you needed more elements. And once travel ball came into existence and they started forming these teams and coaches started making these teams, and they started charging parents a premium. Now there are a lot of parents who cannot afford travel ball, whether it be African American, Latinos, even white kids.
Even lower, right.
There was a segment of society
They can't afford to play.
that can't afford to play, but they have the talent. Rob, I'll tell you the story I had when I was coaching my son who plays football at UCLA. I was coaching him, hell of a baseball player, coaching him, and I decided I'm going to make a team of athletic kids who can't afford to play travel ball. Really solid team, really good team.
Awesome.
My son was 13 at the time, hadn't decided what sport he was really going to choose. And I was told by someone in baseball that unless you go to all of these big tournaments, no one on your team will be seen.
Right.
You see. So they force you to play travel ball, but you can't afford it, so you can't play. So now there's a whole segment of kids that are talented, would be great baseball players, can't afford it, and now there's a monopoly here with this whole travel ball, and it's a big business, and they raking in the dough. And I would say not really teaching. I can't say this about every organization, but I was there when my son was playing travel ball, and I saw a lot of teachable moments that were missed. But them checks coming in every month, we paying now for this travel ball, thinking the kid's gonna be developed.
And they weren't really.
They're not developing you. They just making sure they kind of babysitters, making sure we get you to the travel ball tournaments,
right, and all the stuff,
tournaments.
right? But they're not really teaching.
Yeah, and then Major League Baseball are, in bed with them because think about it. I don't have to send my scouts to small cities and small towns
to go find people.
That's
That's what they used to do, right?
Right. I will just go to these big tournaments. I'm pretty sure all the best baseball players are going to be there. Every travel ball teams, correct? And that they make it easy, and they go there. So if you're not there at those tournaments, you're not going to be seen. A lot of kids have been just shut out.
A couple of years ago, I don't know if you remember when Michigan went to the College World Series. When Michigan was there, they had like 8 black players on the baseball team, which for a Big Ten team in the middle of the country is unheard of.
That sounds like the 90 Braves, 91 Braves.
Right. They had more black players on that baseball team, Dave, than they had on the basketball team. Like, you know, when you add all the players, like they had 8. And I remember the coach was on ESPN, they interviewed him, and they were talking about how many black players, because it stood out for college baseball. He said, I just refused to just go to those tournaments or whatever. He said, I went looking for the players because I knew there were good players around who aren't there.
Absolutely.
And he went and recruited them. He didn't even last there. Went to College World Series, and somebody came and scooped him up in a minute. You know what I mean? Because he was that kind of guy. And he was speaking out about exactly what you were talking about and the idea that, everybody's not being seen.
So we know the talent is out there. We know this, correct? There's a reason why Major League Baseball put these academies in the Dominican Republic and all these other countries, right? And
Cheaper.
much cheaper, okay? And we're just going to throw an academy here, and we're going to train you, feed you, and we're going to see if we can find the next Sammy Sosa, you see, or Manny Ramirez,
Right.
and they do. And then, but a lot of kids, people don't understand how many Latin players are in the minor leagues that don't make it. Like coming through the Brave system, we had a lot of Latin players, and
Everybody doesn't make it. Right.
very, very few of them made it, and their family is literally putting all the pressure on these guys to make it. And everyone can't make it. But what I was saying about Major League Baseball is put that same emphasis, put that same desire, and build some academies around the United States for the players that can't afford it. And you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed how much talent would all of a sudden show up.
All right.